The things I wish I knew when I first started shooting tintypes, part one, the camera. The camera is one of the most intimidating parts of the process. With my experience and the majority of my workshop students, when they first come to me, they're always curious and nervous about purchasing a camera, or they have purchased a camera and they struggled hard in finding the right camera they need. The majority of them think that you need a actual specific tintype camera or wet plate camera, and that is not the case at all. You can shoot a tintype with anything. You can shoot out of a cardboard box if you wanted to. All a camera is the lens, a black box, and whatever you're using to hold that film. So all it's doing is projecting the light, which is your subject, onto the film. That is it. That's all you need. You don't need a fancy high-end camera. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars on one. You can find one for super cheap and start shooting. Or you could potentially use things you already have to shoot a tintype. I've shot tintypes out of 35mm cameras. Holgas work really well. You can shoot out of an old Brownie or box cameras, which you can find those for dirt cheap. You can shoot out of a medium format camera if you want to, or you can make your own camera if you wanted to. Once you start to understand the process and kind of how forgiving the tintype process is, you're able to kind of modify and change things, and you'll come to realize you don't need that much to start shooting tintypes. We're going to use this as an example. This is a ToyoView GX45. Now this camera has a lot of bells and whistles, a lot of gears and stuff like that, which, like I said, you absolutely do not need something like this. So now when we're talking about large format cameras, all it is the lens projecting onto the film. And now this is going to hold your film. So kind of think about it like you're sitting in a movie theater, and where you're sitting is the middle of the camera. The lens is the projector behind you, and the glass or your film or whatever you're using to hold your film is the screen in front of you. So now when the projector turns on, shines through the theater and hits that front screen, that's all the camera is doing. So when you think about it, large format cameras are super easy. They're not intimidating. Some of them have tons of dials and wheels and knobs and all that, but you don't have to worry about that. So now, since that lens is going to project onto the back of the camera and start to expose the film, we're going to need something to hold the film in. What I would recommend starting off with is a 4x5 camera, which is decently small and it's easy to kind of get you into the large format process, and a old Graflex pack adapter. So you can find these all over eBay. There's tons of them out there and they're cheap. All it is a metal box that's gonna hold your film still so you can expose it for as long as you want to. With this pack, I have a little 3D printed plate holder. I think I bought this one off of eBay, and if you have a 3D printer, you can do it yourself. You can make these out of wood. You can shim it with cardboard. Do whatever you need to just make that film stay in place. So that goes into the film pack. We're gonna use this as an example, and this is a plate I shot a couple days ago. So we're gonna pretend that I just poured collodion. I just put this into the silver nitrate and waited the 3 minutes, took it out, and now I'm ready to put it into my plate holder so I can go take the photo. So when I take it out of the silver, Just imagine it's all nice and gray and it's ready to be exposed. So this is gonna go directly into that film pack, just like that. So this has 4 little kind of springs on it. I bent these up a little bit just to hold it in place better. So all these are doing is just pushing down on that plate so the plate doesn't move. So this closes. This has 2 little locking tabs, and I ran a piece of foam on the inside just to make sure no light got in. So we're gonna take this to our camera. We're gonna put this into our camera. So now when we're ready to take the photo and we pull up this dark slide, now we see the film that wants to be exposed. So we're gonna open our shutter. We're gonna do whatever we have to. We're gonna let that light in. It's gonna hit the film, and then we're gonna close it. We're done. We're ready to develop, and we're ready to see our tintype. You can 3D print them, you can make them out of wood, or you can modify old film holders to hold plates. Like I said, all you need to do is hold that film still and let that light project onto it and start to expose it. So now, what if you don't want to buy a large format camera? You don't want to get into the hassles of plate holders, film holders, modifying this, modifying that. If you have a old Holga camera lying around, if you have an old 35mm camera lying around, you can make these work, and they produce awesome photos. They're gonna be tiny, but you can still get into the tintype process. So let's take this old Holga 120, for example. Now we look at the inside, and technically all it is a large format camera that's really small. All it's doing is projecting whatever the lens sees onto whatever you're using as the film, and the whole camera is the dark box. So we have little tiny baby tintypes. So now you can get these specially cut, or you can buy a sheet of sign engraving aluminum and cut them yourself, whatever works. Just as long as you can make it fit into the camera. So with one of these, we're gonna treat it just like the tintype process. We're gonna flow the collodion on it. We're gonna put this into the silver nitrate. We're gonna wait, we're gonna take it out. And now instead of our film holder, we're now using a camera. So this goes into the darkroom with you. So when we're in the darkroom, we're gonna take our film out of the silver nitrate, and all we're gonna do is put it straight into the camera like that. So now that the film is in there, you just need to hold that film in place. So literally all you have to do is grab something that's gonna hold the film in place. This is just a paper towel that we crumbled up. It's gonna sit right in that camera on top of that film. And then we're gonna take the back of the camera and we're gonna put that on. And now that film's not moving. So we could shake it, you can put it down, you can pick it up, and that film is not going anywhere. So now we're gonna take it out of the darkroom. We're gonna go to our subject, our clients, whatever we're shooting, and now we're going to expose it. And now we just took the photo onto the tintype. We're gonna bring this back into the darkroom. We're gonna take off the back, we're gonna take out the paper, and now we have our exposed plate. We're gonna develop it and we're gonna fix it, and that's it. Super, super easy, really fun to do, and people get a kick out of the tiny little tintypes. What if you don't have a Holga? What if you don't wanna buy a Holga? What if you have just a 35mm camera? Let's say like this Pentax K1000, same exact process. You're gonna bring this whole camera with you into the darkroom. Once you coated the plate, once you put this in the silver nitrate, you take it out, it's ready to be exposed, and we're ready to make the tintype. Inside the darkroom, we open our back, we have our plate that's ready to be exposed. That goes straight into the camera, just like that. And what's good about a 35mm camera is it already has a pressure plate, so it's gonna hold down that plate. You just have to be careful because the chemicals are really corrosive and they will start to rust whatever you're putting in there. So you just got to be careful with that, or you got to wipe it down really, really good afterwards, or just use a camera that you're not too concerned about messing up. Close the back. And that's it. We're ready to take the photo. We bring it out of the darkroom. Typically, I would set this on bulb. So you're gonna set it on the B. When you push the shutter button, it's gonna open that shutter and it's gonna leave it open as long as your hand is pushing down the button. When you let it go, it's gonna close that shutter. So now we're gonna go to our clients, our subject, our models. We're gonna focus it up. And then we're gonna take the photo. 1, 2, 3. Now that shutter's open. From here, we can pop a flash. We can do a long exposure. And then we're gonna let our finger go. And now we just took the photo. So now we're gonna run into the darkroom. We're gonna pop it open. Now this plate has been exposed. And now we're gonna develop it like we would. And then we're gonna bring it to the fixer and we're gonna see that image. Your clients are gonna be happy and they're gonna get a tiny little tintype out of it. So that's it. If you're just starting out shooting tintypes, don't be intimidated with the camera buying process. You don't need much. You can get away with very little, or you can shoot out of pretty much whatever you want to. So if you already have a 35mm camera, if you already have a 120 camera, if you have an old box camera or brownie camera that's sitting on your shelf right now, because I know all of us have at least 1 or 2 old box cameras, we can use that to shoot a tintype. So if you want to see me turn one of those into a tintype, let me know and I'll do it. Just don't stress about it. I know it looks hard, but really, once you get the hang of it, it's super easy. Just remember to relax, stay focused, and don't stress out when something goes wrong.